It's time for the Spurs and De'Aaron Fox to come to the table. Should he get that extension?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs, here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Kings San Antonio. Glad to have y'all back. Hope you're having a great Monday. Hope you had a great weekend. And we definitely appreciate y'all coming here to Locked On Spurs, wherever you get your favorite podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Kings Plus app, YouTube. You know what to do. Keep those subscriptions going. They're getting higher and higher each day. We definitely appreciate it here. You guys are the everydayers. What are we talking about today? Well, it's that time of that, in the future, we're all projecting about De'Aaron Fox coming to the Spurs. We knew that extension was going to be looming. Well, it's here. As of yesterday, he is eligible for that contract extension with San Antonio. Will he get it? Should he get it? What do the eye tests tell us? What does that eye test tell us about him on the court to make him worthy of that? What are some options financially the Spurs can pursue? Maybe they don't give him a full extension. Can you imagine that? Well, we're going to get to all that and more. Yeah, it's a big decision for the Spurs and the future of this rebuild. But either way, however we spin it, not a bad player to have on that roster. Let's go to bring in our guest. And look who is back, everybody. Casey Viera, my good friend, former colleague at Kens 5 San Antonio. Casey, how you doing? By the way, I hate to disappoint you. I don't have a contract extension on the table for you. So sorry about that.
When you do, is it as lucrative as nearly $230 million?
How about this? Would you be okay with a Chili's gift card for about $20?
25 and you got a deal.
All right, easy. I'll take that deal. Anytime I get Casey on my team, it's worth the extra $5. Make sure to follow Casey on X at Casey_Viera. Do that right now. So big days possibly ahead for the Spurs and De'Aaron Fox. Casey, that extension have been looming since he became a Spur. Well, it's here now. As of this recording, he has not signed an extension with San Antonio, but these things likely will take time. Again, he was extension eligible over the weekend, unlikely that, they'll get a deal done. But here we are. So before we get into some of the numbers and options the team and Fox can pursue, we didn't really get a big sample size of him on the court. I think about a little bit over 10 games, and that was it. So we don't know, but we do have a big sample size. Obviously, he's been in the league for a while now. He's been a former All-Star. He did some damage with the Kings, playoff run. So he's a good player, but we don't know how he'll fit in this rebuild moving forward. And then not to forget, Casey, the 3-guard lineup the team now has. Mm-hmm. Do you still see him as a big piece of this rebuild, or maybe just a piece to the rebuild?
I think he's a big piece.
Okay.
I think you go with what the larger sample size, and that even though it's a handful of games that he and Victor got to play last season, and really a handful of games that he himself played in San Antonio, sure. I think you go with what and that's a guy who's a all-star caliber point guard year in, year out. It's
for sure.
A guy who looks like he's gonna pair well, or at least complement Victor's skill set very well, and vice versa, and make the team infinitely better at the point guard position. I think you go with what like you said, though, the Dylan Harper aspect of it certainly muddies things a little bit, because you don't know how that log jam, if it becomes a log jam, you don't know if it's going to become a log jam and too much repetition at one position, really two positions, or it's going to be fluid. And so I could see a world where that does impact, or at least provoke some sort of conversation about this extension and whether it happens mid-season or not.
Yeah.
If Dylan Harper was not here, if the Spurs don't end up with that number 2 pick, I think this is done by now. But I think the element of Harper being here and a little bit more fluidity to it, and presenting something, and again, it goes to their commitment to Harper and Castle as well, right? If they look at the three of them, and maybe Castle essentially is the odd man out of the bunch with something like that. I would believe to think it's not the case. from a monetary standpoint in that lens, but you just never know. But I think right now you probably pull the trigger on the extension in some capacity.
Right. Yeah. And look, we had a small sample size, but in that small sample size, man, did he put some numbers out. I got it right here: 24.8 points per game, 6.1 assists, 4.2 rebounds, 1.5 steals per game in that partial season with San Antonio post Sacramento trade. So that definitely aligns with that all-star caliber player the Spurs had been looking for. Now, I want to go back to this whole, 3-guard lineup thing, and Fox. It feels like everybody's looking at Fox as the odd man out. Like, what if it's Harper? We forget, what has Harper done in the NBA as of this? At nothing. As of now, nothing.
Right.
So we don't know. So I think it is perhaps more prudent for the Spurs to lock up De'Aaron Fox, because it's not a sealed deal that Harper is going to be the real deal in the NBA. Now, Vegas Summer League, sure, he looked good, but that was against Summer League competition, not NBA competition. We'll see in a few months how that pans out. All signs are pointing that he will be a player that will make an impact on the court, but then you just don't know. That's why they call it a lottery, because you just don't know if you're going to hit. So we'll soon find out. But so I think that's why you lock up a guy who's known, as you mentioned, known commodity in the NBA, proven numbers. We just read it right now, what he did to San Antonio, and so much more. And then here's this too, Casey. Man, can you imagine? You got to imagine, when the deal was made with Sacramento, they must have told Fox and his team, like, yeah, we got your back come extension time, because he wanted to come to San Antonio, and that'll be a bad look in the Spurs if they don't give him that extension. Your thoughts?
Yeah, but I think it goes back to the Harper thing, though. I don't think Harper was necessarily in those conversations, or the idea of it was prevalent in those conversations when the Fox deal was happening. I don't think the extension. I feel like it's a little bit more complex now.
Okay.
I feel like it's a little bit more the scenarios, because of the Harper and Castle dynamic and the money and the aprons. It becomes a little bit muddier now, because you look at the hypothetical scenarios of what they could do and what behooves Fox, what behooves the team. But you're talking about the Harper aspect of things. If Harper, after I'm thinking in a world, okay, where they go 2 years, player option on the third. And in that world, say if you're the Spurs, you have a better idea of what Harper is after 2 seasons. What would be 3 seasons? 3 seasons by now. You have a pretty good idea of what he is at that point, or trend in that direction. Same would apply for Castle. Does that make you more, or are they best served doing something like that? And as a result, it speaks more to, if they do that, in my mind, it speaks more to the aspect of investing in Harper and Castle, and they really want to dedicate their time and effort and their energy to maximizing and seeing what they get out of that.
Yeah.
And giving Fox potentially that 2 years with an opt-out to the third, which would put him on the free agent market with a player option at the end of the so what would that be, the 28-29 season? So it would probably be it would be the same summer that Stephon Castle would hit restricted free agency. I could see that scenario playing out. And then I could also see that playing out from the Fox side of things, because if Fox does his job and Fox plays at a near all-star caliber level, it's going to be another opportunity for him to get a long-term extension and more money, assuming it would be the max deal, than the potential $229 million that he would get if you were to sign this contract in the next few days to get locked up 4 years entirely with no options, presumably, after year 4, all the way through.
And
would it be the best for Fox's best move as well? I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I mean, you can argue both sides of to why maybe you don't give the full extension. You throw in those player options, not because the Spurs do not want to give them that extension, but because it allows more flexibility. Because you're looking at NBA teams just panicking over the aprons. What has going on in Boston? That team they blew it up. They blew ownership, got out. They saw that coming. Remember what was it? The Denver GM said about the apron.
He said the worst thing you possibly could.
Yeah. He said, he goes, they could envision a day where they might have to trade Joker. I mean, although the Spurs are, at least as of now, they're not close to that first apron, but they're likely staring at it in the face. It's probably like a bullet staring at them right now because of so many players they have to get signed. And that is not just Fox, but that's Wemby, that's Castle, that's Harper. And we talked about Sochan. We haven't talked about KJ. We never talked about Devin. These guys are going to want to get paid. So then that's where the Spurs are kind of in a rock and a hard place. Like, do you pay out? This team historically doesn't. They don't have deep pockets like Knicks, Lakers, Golden State Warriors. They just don't. So things will have to change in the future. But see, that's where I think those options can really help with the flexibility. We're not done talking about this topic. When we get back, we're going to continue talking about the Fox and Spurs contract extension. What is there another option maybe the Spurs and Fox can pursue? Should they just give them flat out the money and call it a day and let the chips fall where they may? We're going to talk about that and more right here on Locked On Spurs. But first, I want to talk about Monarch Money. You ever wish managing your money felt a little easier? With Monarch Money, it can be. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO. It gives you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investment, spending, all in one spot. So in addition to managing your money, you're building your wealth. Hey, look, you can do so much. You can track your spending. You can check if you're spending way too much on takeout or subscriptions. Maybe they add up more than you expected. You know what? Even if you're sharing finance with somebody else, Monarch will help y'all stay on the same page. If you have a financial goal, it'll get you to it. And yeah, ever wish you could see all your accounts and spending one spot? That's where Monarch comes in. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA. MonarchMoney.com. That's 50% off your first year as well. That's MonarchMoney.com. The code is LOCKEDONNBA for half off your first year. Joined by Casey Viera. Follow him on X at Casey_Viera. Do that ASAP. Subscribe to Locked On Spurs right now over on YouTube at Ken's 5+. Hey, we're talking about De'Aaron Fox, Spurs, contract extension, just how many avenues, paths you can take with this whole topic here from just flat out give them the money, call it a day. That's one less head you got to worry about. Or should both sides kind of help one another? And you brought it up in the first segment, Casey. Maybe you don't give them the max like now or sometime, this week or whenever it happens, but you allow for flexibility. And you mentioned a 2-year player option. That's one. But why not do something shorter and give a player maybe a 3-year at $50 million each? That works with everybody. It helps everybody. He gets paid, maybe not the max, but you leave that player option in there. The Spurs have more room financially to work with in 3 years from now, was that 2028, 29 area?
Yeah.
It just feels like perhaps the player option aspect of it could help everybody, including Fox and the Spurs. Your thoughts?
The more we talk about this out loud, I think honestly because of that 3-guard dynamic and what they're going to put into the investment of learning and the growth of Fox and Harper, of Castle and Harper. I think that 2 year, whether it is 2, whether it's 3, I think falling short, whatever from a year standpoint, I think coming short of the full 4 years, whether that is an option for that last year on a 3-year deal or not going the length of the full 4 years might be beneficial for everybody here. I didn't think so initially. When we talked about recording this segment, I was thinking, okay, yeah, it's kind of a no-brainer. Fox is going to give him, you pay him what he wants, that close to that 4 to 28. So maybe he does you a favor and spots you and you hit at 220 or something like that. And that way you can every little margin counts. So that $7 million that he'll save you, I guess whatever that would be, like essentially $2 million a year, if that. Point being, maybe he does you a solid and saves you a little bit of money on that front. I am not entirely sold though now, the more we talk this out, if that's the most practical thing for both parties. I don't. I think that Fox, if he does his job and he maximizes his talents, because he's only going to be 30 years old by the time he would hit year 3 in that contract. So there's still a nice long-term contract. Probably his last long-term contract in the league, at least at a sizable number, that he's going to be eligible for to take him through age 34, age 30. Oh, I guess if he opted out at 30, age 30, it would take him, and he signed a new 4-year deal that would put him, his last good payday through age 34. And I'm sure he's kind of hearing that on his same side as well. And then again, on that Spurs lens of things, I just think because Castle was so good last year at what he did, because of the investment in Harper, you have to put a real seed into the thought process of whether it's best to fall a year short of that, to consider that number that you may have to potentially pay both of those guys and the impact that would have on Fox. I think you have to really strongly consider it, especially considering, and they say sometimes don't maximize or compound a bad situation or a good situation based on the deal that you made at the trade deadline. Getting a guy in a contract year, I should say, like they did, an example, just because you gave a lot for a player at the deadline doesn't mean you have to give him a full 4-year deal. If it doesn't work, then just cut ties. Then I am kind of the belief that, given that they did not give up a ton for Fox anyways, that maybe they do bite on giving them that extension, that the lengthier one regardless, just because they did not give up a lot. And honestly, I think above all else, dude, I think you have to weigh heavily into, and I'm not saying anything we don't already know, we have to weigh heavily of how well the Wemby and Fox dynamic does.
Yeah.
And it could be a scenario why this might go into the mid-season.
Yeah. And they could the Spurs could take a wait and see approach to see, okay, let's see how y'all really look together outside of a little over 10 games before you got shelved, Fox and Wemby.
Yeah.
But we got to see. Yeah, it definitely is complicated. There's so many pros. Obviously he's an established all-star. So a little bit of time. He played with San Antonio last year. He put up numbers. He wanted to come to San Antonio. He made it known that was his destination to get traded to. It would be a bad look on the Spurs if they give him anything short or don't work with him at least into ensuring that he gets paid. Yeah, there's so many complex things. Ultimately. Oh man, they gave out this too, by the time Harper and Castle are really hitting their stride, entering their peak, you got Fox that is slowly coming out, maybe, or he's already on the back end of it. What do you do then? Do you have a player whose contract is going to be hard to move at that point?
Right.
It's so complicated.
Another thing too is, do you want to be paying essentially in a few years $400 million at the same position?
Right.
For 3 guys at the same
position that practically do the same thing. As of now, we don't know who's going to take a leap, but as of now, they do the same thing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Ultimately, I think. Okay, do you think by end of this week the deal's done or no? I'm going to say no.
I'm going to say no.
Yeah. I'm gonna say no. Yeah.
I'm gonna
Should
say
I,
no.
do you think they should max him out then? Man, see, that's where I guess I don't
I'm
know.
gonna say no.
Yeah, I'm
Absolutely
gonna
say no. Because I just think the situation just muddied things up so
Yeah.
much. In the good sense and a bad sense.
I think you work with him and get close to it, but you don't give him the big man. You like you mentioned the options. Yeah, give him a payday. Give him that ascending kind of sign. Maybe make it ascending, so he gets paid more and more after every year. But leave that option open again, just to help everybody involved, including Fox, to get paid more. Because you get the salary cap's going to be rising higher every year, so that helps. They're NBA is moving to Amazon, so the TV money is going to increase. So there's options here, but I don't know. As of right now, I'm going to say no, but get them close to it though.
I don't think it gets done.
Yeah.
I don't think it gets done. I just think
Wow.
I think they want to see how it works, the 3-guard lineup, and I think they're willing. I think they're willing to make the gamble, letting it play out a little bit.
Yeah.
And getting a better idea of a full season, half season. I think they want to see some time with it.
Yeah, I love to see how Brian Wright handles those discussions. Now, if I'm there, I'm bringing in Pop, I'm bringing in Buford. At least we just all talk to Fox together. You see how?
But the thing is, there's just that they have to watch. They have to see if it works.
Yeah,
they have to see if it works now.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I don't think. Well, the sample size was good. The sample size is not totally enough.
Yeah,
you factor in the Harper part of it.
Yeah,
it's just not. It's just not enough. And without the Harper side of it, I think this is done. But because there is the Harper aspect of it now, I think they're going to hit the pause button on that for a little while.
All right, we'll see what they do. But make sure y'all tell us, what do you think the Spurs should do? Give him the max right now, work with him, and maybe make it a little more lucrative towards the end. Just so many options. What do you think you Spurs should do? Let Casey know on X at Casey_Viera. Let me know on X at Jeff G Spurs Zone. We'll be back to wrap up this episode of Locked On Spurs.
But first, I want to talk about 5-Hour Energy. Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. It brings the bold grape, ginger, and lime flavor of your favorite golf drink, minus the alcohol, into a quick, energizing shot. Whether you're seeking birdies or just making memories with friends, this is a hole-in-one for your energy game. Let's be honest, some days in the course, you're off it. You just need a little extra boost to stay sharp and energized. That's where 5-Hour Energy Transfusion comes in. Look, you ever had a weirdest course you ever played? You had some odd challenges on the golf course that really threw off your game. Hey, you know what? Maybe that 5-Hour Energy Transfusion could have helped you out and give you that extra boost, again, to stay sharp and energized. That's why you got to go get 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. Golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors, of course. The grape ginger lime flavor gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without chasing down the bev cart. If you go to 5hourenergy.com today, that is the number 5, hourenergy.com, you can use my promo code LOCKEDONGOLF to receive 20% off your order. This offer is only valid until September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. So whether you're meeting up with friends or trying to turn 18 holes into 36, get the energizing boost you need to power through. Order transfusion flavor 5-Hour Energy shots today.
We're back right here on Locked On Spurs, joined by Casey Viera. Follow him on X at Casey_Viera. Do that right now. Some quick Spurs news in case you missed it. Devin Vassell, he's not sleeping this offseason. He got into the ring in San Antonio, the boxing ring that is, stay in peak shape. And let me tell you, Casey, he looks like he added a lot more size to his frame. He got bigger. Boy, he got more. I thought I was a big dude. No, I think he might be bigger than he.
Right? He's on the 50 set of 54 arm.
Yeah.
No, he's got to muscle up a little bit because somebody's got to play power forward.
That's right.
Lineup, right?
In other Spurs news, Jeremy Sochan is getting ready for EuroBasket 2025. He is with Team Poland right now, going through, I guess, Team Poland training camp ahead of the tournament, which would be a fun one, too. I think you have, like, Jokers playing in it. Obviously, Sochan's playing in it. Can't forget Team France. They'll have some really good NBA/French basketball players on that squad. So it should be a tournament everybody will be watching. And I believe it kicks off this month, at the end of the month. So we'll see how Team Poland does out there in EuroBasket 2025. In other Spurs news, Victor Wembanyama announced that his Hoop Gambit chess/basketball tournament will return next year. It was a huge success. It's his way of giving back to the city that he grew up in, France, and he likes to test the mind and test the physical skills. So leave it to Wemby, Casey, to think of something like this. Notice it reminds me of chess boxing. There is a such thing as called chess boxing. I'm not kidding you. Where boxers beat each other up, and then they play chess. Not kidding.
You get the feeling Wemby will stumble his way into it, and just like I'm sure he's already drive management crazy.
Exactly. All right, there's your quick Spurs news and notes. Casey, we appreciate you coming here on Locked On Spurs as always. We thank you for taking your time out of your schedule and giving your thoughts. Can't wait to see what the Spurs do with the Fox and the contract extension. We'll definitely keep you here.
Yep.
Yeah. Follow my next at Casey_Viera. And thank y'all for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. Free and available wherever you get podcasts. We'll be back on Wednesday. Maybe we're talking about a Fox extension. We don't know. We'll see. Well, we'll do that all right here on Locked On Spurs. Subscribe at YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Kids Plus app. You know what to do. But for Casey Viera, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.